Hey guys, this is Jamie from Honeylung. I'm going to be playing a few acoustic tracks today. I'm going to be playing a couple off of postmodern motorcade music and a few old ones. This song's called Getting Off.
Waking up, trouble just to get it off. Little bit messy, but off the block. Working my way just to get it on, get it on. Little piece so strange, and I'll just fuck it off, fuck it off. I'm getting off, I'm getting off, I'm getting off, I'm getting off. Coke and comfort that you thought you'd lost, and every last test that you thought you'd won. Mostly indecision from your migraines. Who knew someone could play so cruel on someone so young? I'm getting off, I'm getting off, I'm getting off, I'm getting off. Some say depression is a turn off. Some say that I've got a certain kind. God's forgiveness with through all this mess. God didn't give you a lot, a lot. So I'm getting off, I'm getting off, I'm getting off, I'm getting off. Candle burns brightly while you're taking your second turn. You were meant to be there all along. You're a junkie, there's no way for anyone. Slow release from the pain, and I'll just fuck it up, fuck it up. Getting off, getting off, getting off, getting off. What's left to me? Don't you think it's alright if the mental mess watch me kill what's left to me? Don't you think it's alright if the mental mess watch me kill
Whoa. Thanks. This next song I'm gonna play is called Stuttering Mind.
Watch you fall in love when you were young. Look at you like a boy in a girl's costume. Now you sit in the same spot every day. Now you trade all those days to numb the pain. Exchanging on this stuttering mind, this stuttering mind. You know, exchanging on this stuttering mind, this stuttering mind. Tired even though it's a long hard climb. Give me your coat, held down to stay. As a man, as a boy, as a lover, never was afraid. Exchanging on this stuttering mind, this stuttering mind. You know, exchanging on this stuttering mind, this stuttering mind. You know, exchanging this stuttering mind, this stuttering mind.
I'm gonna have the biggest dead leg after this session. I'm currently like sitting on my leg and it's absolutely dead. Can't feel anything. Okay, this next song's called Big and it's off of the EP.
Part that makes me want to fall in love.
Okay, I don't really know which song to play last, but okay, I'll do Name.
Could I be inside your little head?
I'm gonna do it at high key actually. Sorry, one sec.
Could I be inside your little head? Could I use the time to make things better? Nothing feels like the time we had. Look at me like you can't look away. Listen to what you never say. Could I use the time to make things better? Nothing feels like the time we had.
Thanks.
First off, I'd like to say I wanna apologize for being so brash. It seems to get your attention, maybe a little bit of cash to put my gas tank to last the road a few days. Cause letting words speak louder than actions, which is how I was raised. Built to learn from my parents, got nothing nice to say, don't speak at all. But my favorite punk bands taught me to never take the fall. For every fuck up, someone's bound to make. But if you do, write one hell of a song for every honest mistake. This is it, it's it for me. Spend my whole life under dull lights, cause that's where I wanna be. You might think it's a waste of time. How will I ever know if I don't try? And second, I'd like to say that this'll be a lot different than my first show. I'm streets ahead, the kid you knew, writing shitty songs 5 years ago. Doing it alone, to know I should be expecting. Still blows my mind, see kids pay for a show and spend the time texting. They say the news seems dead and that the crowd has died. There's always someone in the front row talking louder than I can even scream. They got something more important to say, or maybe we're wasting their time on stage. But if one person connects to just one thing I'd say, then that's enough for me, cause we're not just here to get paid. This is it, it's it for me. Spend my whole life under dull lights, cause that's where I wanna be. You might think it's a waste of time. How will I ever know if I don't try? Least I wanna thank you for being here tonight to watch me make an ass out of myself under the spotlight. Can't top the last album, should've stayed an opening act. $10 words, $1 sentence, but with half the class attacked. Seriously, all the doubt aside, hope you don't mind if I share a few stories about my life. So buckle in, let's see how it goes.
This is it, it's it for me. Spend my whole life under dull lights, cause that's where I wanna be. You might think it's a waste of time. How will I ever know if I don't try? This is it, it's it for me. Spend my whole life under dull lights, cause that's where I wanna be. You might think it's a waste of time. How will I ever know if I don't try?
This is it, it's it for me. Spend my whole life under dull lights, cause this is where I wanna be. You might think it's a waste of time. How will I ever know if I don't try?
I don't wanna write it down. I don't wanna say it out loud. 'Cause if I do, then it's real. If it's real, then it hurts. And if it hurts, it could only get worse. Can't get you out of my head. I listen to white noise instead. Can't get you out of my head. If I love you too much, would you ever wanna see me again? Blacked out on election day. I'm tripping over my words on stage. I'm a creature of fear, and the fear is a curse. And if I'm cursed, it could only get worse. Can't get you out of my head. I listen to white noise instead. Can't get you out of my head. If I loved you too much, would you ever wanna see me again? When you really know me, and I mean really know me, would you wanna know me anymore?
everyone. I'm here for BSM, Big Scary Monsters Online pop-up shop to do an interview with bell-end millennial hipster Jamie Lemon extraordinaire. Okay, well listen, as our first question, Jamie, how come you're so weird?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, you got the weird hair, you look weird, you live in a weird house, what's the deal?
Well, I mean, the thing is, the most basic thing to say there is that, like, weird people don't think they're weird. I don't think I'm weird. I can see how other people would think I'm weird, but it's not weird to me. There are people that want to be weird. There's people that are like, I'm weird! Chicken teapot. And those are the people that I try and stay away from. But those people are super normal. It's a weird paradox. So if you just think you're normal, it turns out you might be weird, but if you think you're weird, you are normal, and you're also a bit of a dick. But I can understand why people think I'm weird, and obviously people that have been following my career for a long time. As for the way I look, a lot of this sort of happened very gradually whilst I was out of the public eye. So when I was a teenager, really, since I was 19, I've been having my photo taken and put in magazines and whatever, and I sort of did a lot of my growing up in public, and so you can see, how people change. And then I suppose, when I left the public eye, as it were, in 2008 or whatever, when the band split up, it was 5 years till people saw me again. 5 years is a long time in someone's life, and in that time they can lose most of their hair and gain like twice their body weight and start wearing three-piece suits. I mean, the thing is, all of it individually isn't actually that weird. Like, to wear a three-piece suit, is it that weird to wear a suit? No. And to have a moustache, maybe. Some people got moustaches. But then if you put the moustache together with the three-piece suit, okay, you start to look maybe a bit out of the ordinary. And then, by the time you got the weird haircut, I mean, it wasn't, again, none of this is like planned. I lost all my hair, and it was really sad. And I went for a long time with a sort of monk's tonsure denying it. And that's why all the promo shots from Muscle Memory of me going, "Hi, I'm Jamie Lemon, I've still got hair." And I knew I really hadn't got any hair left, so I had to zoop it all off. But I kept the bit at the front, just because I've seen dudes that bald in this weird pattern, and the ones that shave off this little hair island, they're left with a little dark smudge, like they've been in a mine and they've stood up too fast, and I didn't want that. I can deal with the 5 o'clock shadow around the sides, but not the little smudge island. So I thought, well, I'll keep that bit. And then I liked it because it tells people where my face stops, so that's good. And also, it's Tank Girl's haircut, and I love Tank Girl. So it's weird, so my haircut is punk, and the rest of me is sort of Edwardian. And, as for my house and the stuff I have in my house, I think anything that has any kind of strong, bold style, anything that isn't just completely beige, will be weird to someone, won't it? And if you really like history, which I do, and you want to surround yourself with history, I don't want it to be the past. That's another thing. If you go on YouTube and you watch some of these people, they're like, living the 1950s lifestyle, and they have all their kitchen made out like the 50s, and it's cool, I would like it. But then they say, "Oh, I wish it was 1950s, you could leave your door open," and that's when I start to go about, because I don't want it to be the past at all. And there are some people that sort of dress vintage that do want it to be the past. I do not want it to be the past, quite the opposite. But that doesn't mean that I don't like things from the past. I don't like the empire and racism and, women having no power and all that terrible stuff that was in the past. So I'm quite happy with it being today. Apart from, Trump and Brexit. But that's a result, those terrible things we have today, I think are a direct result of people wanting it to be the past. Brexit. Let's get blue passports again. It won't suddenly be 1953 just because we leave the European Union, and that's a big theme to who I am, and a lot of my work is that we gotta move forwards. And even though I know I'm dressed like Daniel Day-Lewis out of There Will Be Blood, I don't want there to be actual blood. I'm quite happy living in the present until someone brings up Trump, and I'm pretty cross. So yeah. Well, fair enough. So tell us about Big Scary Monsters. How come you love them so much? Why don't you just marry him? A lot of these questions have a slightly aggressive edge.
Well, I'm an aggressive guy.
Yeah, okay, well. I just really like Big Scary Monsters because they really like me. That's always attractive, isn't it? If someone likes you, it's hard not to like them back. And they're just very encouraging. from when I first started to work with them, they just said yes to everything, and they had lots of ideas. Especially when we did that Devolver campaign, they had lots of ideas about the pre-order campaign. And every 6 months, whereas Extra Mile, you know, when I did Muscle Memory with Extra Mile, I was in a slightly different place, and it's not exactly the same situation because I was quite reticent. And so Extra Mile just sort of left me to my own devices. They did say, how about doing another single, another tour? And that really, to be fair, I gave a lot of pushback, but I did it and I'm glad we did it. Whereas by the time, it was just the right time to work with BSM. By the time I started working with them, they would say, how about this, how about that? They were a lot more suggestive and proactive. And I had to go, oh, okay. You know, I wasn't really thinking about doing anything after Devolver, and then they were like, let's do a single. Let's put that St. Pancras concert out on a DVD, and that took up most of my year. And then they're like, what's next? They're always, Big Scary Masters are always like, what's next? What's next? And so I have to think, oh. And even on King of Clubs, this record we're making now, we were at the big meeting and everyone had heard the record. We were talking about what to do for videos and whatnot. A very small amount of money for the videos this time, so I had to be quite careful about how I spend that budget. And I'd already sort of sectioned off how we were going to do it. And then Kev said, hey, Kev, the label boss, he said, why don't you do a video for that instrumental track? And I was like, yeah, great idea, Kev. Who suggests to making a video for an instrumental track? It's not going to be a single. But that fired me up. That fired my brain thinking. And after initially going, get titted, Kev, I was like, actually, that's a really great idea. And I shot one, and then I liked it so much, I scrapped the album cover I had planned and made the album cover that image of the black shroud from the King of Clubs video. So it's that kind of thing. We really work together, and they're just up for it, and they're really nice people, and they're really on it, and they answer my emails straight away. And none of this is in any way denigrating the other labels that I work with, because I work with a few. But Big Scream, it's just a really good fit, lots of energy. Plus, they're based in my hometown, where I'm from. Kev, I may have said this before, Kev, who is the head honcho at Big Scary Monsters, he lives in a house from where he can see from his front door the house that I grew up in when I was a child in Abingdon. So it's super weird, but nice, you know. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Tell me about this new album, King of Clubs. How come it's a mini album? Why didn't you just wait till you had enough songs for a proper album?
Well, I mean, it sort of depends how you define what a real album is. What is a real album? If you look at my career, only a few of my albums that I've put out, both with the band and my own, you could call a real album. And if by an album we mean like between 10 and say 14, 15 tracks is an album, anything less is a mini album, anything less is an EP. Straight from the off, the first album I ever made, Race Car, that's 16 tracks, that's way too long. So, you know, that falls out of the parameter of, you know, 10 to 12, 10 to 14 tracks, that's longer than you'd think. And then, obviously, Muscle Memory was a double album, so that falls outside those parameters, so we might as well strike that off. St. Pancras, I regard as an album, but it's a live album, and it's a double album, but there's original compositions on it, there's 2000 Trees on it, and a lot of the chat, a lot of the spoken word. I sort of wanted to do a spoken word album anyway, that's all original material. I know it was live, and it was chat, and it was ad-lib, but I think it stands up in the same way that I said at the time, a lot of my favourite albums are stand-up albums by people like Billy Connolly and Steve Martin. So, you know, that's a real album as far as I'm concerned. Shuffle, not a real album. Why? You know, because I didn't write them. But I sort of did, and I put a lot of work on it. And then, you know, if people are saying, oh, well, it's only 7 tracks, King of Clubs isn't a real album. These definitions of what a real album is get really hazy and sort of start to become a bit meaningless. And it feels like a real album to me. It's got its own theme, it's got its own vibe, it has a start, a middle and an end. And the 7 songs that we did feel like a package to me. It doesn't feel like it needs anything extra. That was everything I had at the time when we went to the studio, and in fact, a couple of ideas I had I then redeveloped because I thought it needed a bit of light and shade. And I'm really chuffed with it. So yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to do more. I don't think King of Clubs could have been like a 10-12 tracker because it's too dark and too thick. I wouldn't have wanted to stay in that headspace for that long. So I think it's perfect as it is. And it's a real album. I mean, I like the format of a mini album, and I've said for a long time that lots of my favourite albums are mini albums. I like that short, sharp shock. And like I said in the press release, it's like a novella, which is a short form book, and many of literatures, most prized books are novellas. Heart of Darkness, The Old Man and the Sea, Christmas Carol, they're all novellas, so it's a format that I really like, and I'm really excited about the record.
Okay, cool. Well, so going on to live, you're currently touring as just a two-piece with the drummer and yourself. Why don't you when are you going to get a bass player? Come on now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to tell you, I don't think I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to, because there's lots of factors to consider when you're doing live shows. As I've said before, I used to find doing live shows very, very difficult. At the end of the band, I found them incredibly difficult, and they were a big part of the reason to stop doing the band. And then when I was doing Muscle Memory again, I really made a rod for my own back by making an album that was that complex and that needed like a brass section, and that was a huge undertaking, and it sort of cleaned me out, and it was a big part of the reason why I didn't do anything again for another 3 years. So live for me, especially now as I'm sort of approaching 40, it's got to be easy or it just doesn't happen. And with just me and the drummer, so without a bass player, it's just so much easier. I cannot get across how much easier it is. That's only one person I have to rehearse. Live, it's only one other person I have to worry about. And it sounds good to me, and it sounds good to most other people. I do. A lot of people say, hey, I went to your gig and it was amazing. Was the bass player behind the curtain? Do you have the bass on tape? So as far as they're concerned, it sounds like a bass player. It was never supposed to sound like a bass player. That little pickup I have, it was just supposed to thicken the guitar. But it sounds more or less like a bass. And there's nothing you can... if I did take a bass player, who's to say it would sound any better or worse? I think what a lot of that stems from is that people just want what they're familiar with. And it's a little bit unusual to see a two-piece still, whether there is a bit of vogue for it, and people are much more used to drums, bass, guitar, whatever. But that's my show, really. It's just not worth my while to add a member to the band. And I've thought about maybe we could add a keyboard player, because I would like to keep shuffling the band up, but whenever I think about it, the number of songs that would require an extra member, like for instance a keyboard player, are just so negligible. So to rehearse a third member of the band and take them on tour and pay them and pay for the hotels, whatever, all this stuff, in return for like maybe 5 or 6 songs that need a keyboard player or need an extra guitarist to do the wiggy bits, it just doesn't make any sense. Playing live is a company. It's a machine. There's money in and there's money out. You have to make it make sense both from an economic standpoint and a musical standpoint and a time standpoint. It just doesn't hold up. And I've recently been working the drummers I have, we had sample pads, that's me miming a sample pad there. And so if there's any like little twinkly bits, they can sort of put them on the sample pad. I can't afford, from any perspective, to take a third member out to fill in bits of like maybe a quarter of the set, when I could just play like 5 alternate songs that are just as rocking. It doesn't make any sense to me. I know where a lot of this comes from, is that, oh, if only you take a bass player and then it'd be drums, guitar and bass, or maybe the bass player could have curly hair and be called John, and then maybe it could be Ruben and you've already got a guy on drums. And I think that's where a lot of this comes from, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, well, that is, that's where it goes. We know you've been saying for many years that you don't want to get Ruben back together, but why? Why don't you want to? Why don't you want to? Explain to the people.
Well, I know it's very difficult for people to understand, because people see all the videos of that band and they listen to the records, and they're good records and they're good videos, and I dig them. And people that, a lot of time, people that haven't been in a band or haven't been in a band in a similar situation would look at that and think and see all this like acclaim and praise that band gets, and just think, why wouldn't you want to do that again? Why wouldn't you want to once again be in this cult band that everyone loved and feel all that shower of adulation or whatever? And I can understand why that's baffling, why I won't just do it, why I don't want to do it, and why the other guys don't want to do it. And it's almost impossible to explain that to someone that hasn't been in that position. But what people don't want to hear, and what that band was saying all the way through their records and everything, was that it's incredibly tough to be in that band. It was very hard and very painful to be in that band, and to put myself in that position again would not only be like painful emotionally, but also it comes into what we were saying earlier about how you got to move forwards. Even though I know it seems bizarre that I surround myself with relics of the past, I actually believe very strongly in moving forwards in everything, and I wouldn't want to revisit the past. I'm fine talking about it as a historical thing in the same way that I like talking about this Vitrola as a historical thing, but I wouldn't play my actual records on it, because I got a better one. And I watched the documentary on Nightmare, which again is something from the past that I love.
Yeah, I love that show.
And they were interviewing all the guys from this game show Nightmare that used to be on TV when I was a kid. And at the end of the interview, they asked everyone, they're like, would you want to come back and do more Nightmare? Which is the question that everyone who's done everything has always asked. And all of them said, yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to come back and do it. Apart from one guy, David Lerner, who played Pickle. He was a little elf that used to sit here by Treguard, and it was super annoying. And he said, no. He looked right into the camera. He told all these lovely stories about Nightmare. And he said, would I want to do it again? No. I had a lovely time. I enjoyed every second of it, and I have just great memories, but it's not something I would want to do again. And even for me, because everyone else had said, oh yeah, I'd love to, I was quite shocked by what he said, and it took me quite a while to wrap my head around how is it possible to have, because if he's like, oh no, I had a horrible time, I hate wearing that elf costume, and Treguard was a dick, I don't want to do it again. But what he said was, I loved it, and I don't want to do it again. That's quite a difficult concept to imagine, but the way he said it was just so controlled and so happy about it. He was like, you still want to do it again. It's possible to have loved something and not want to do it again. It'd be like going back to school. It'd be like wearing a toddler's romper suit again. It was fun while you did it, but you wouldn't want to do it again. It doesn't fit me as I am now. And I also believe that the culture of band reunions has got way out of hand. It started maybe 10, 15 years ago. I blame the Pixies. The Pixies got back together and they were like the ultimate holdout. And then since then everyone does it. And I just think it gets in the way of new music. And I think it's sort of really depressing to want to live that part of your life again. People say, oh, I want to relive being a teenager again. I went to your gig and it made me 15 again for one night. Who wants to be 15 again? What a horrible nightmare. It was awful. So I wouldn't want to do it again.
And is there maybe like a long, rambling, complicated metaphor that you could use to describe to people how that kind of feels?
Yeah, there is actually, yeah.
Oh, great.
I was talking about this to my wife, Katie, the other day, about how it feels when people bring up the band, or say specifically, because I like it when people bring up the band, but when they say, when are you going to get Ruben back together, or just get Ruben back together, how it makes me feel, because it's quite complex, because on the one hand I'm happy that they like that band and that they still like it, but on the other hand it's a weird set of feelings. And I came up with a little story that is long and rambling, but imagine if when you were a little kid, when you were like 5 or 6, your little party piece that you would do at birthday parties, or when your grandpa and granny come round, or your uncles come round, you do the little teapot dance, I'm a little teapot shot, here's my handle. And you love doing it when you're a toddler, because everyone says, oh, great teapot dance, oh, little Jimmy's going to do his teapot dance. Everyone loves it. Granny, grandpa loves it, mum and dad love the teapot dance. Wonderful. Everyone has a great time, including you love it. And then grow up, you go to school, you stop doing the teapot dance, obviously. And so imagine you do your exams, you study really hard, and you get like a scholarship to university. And you go, Mum and Dad, I got a scholarship to university, I worked really hard. And they say, great, do the teapot dance. And you go, oh. And that would feel pretty bad. And then you go to university and you do some groundbreaking work, and you come away with a first. You get like the best degree that you've ever got. And at the graduation ceremony, your whole family is there, and you got the flat hat on, and you're getting your diploma. And your whole family say, do the teapot dance. And you go, oh. And then you get a job, and you find someone, and you get married, and you have a whole big lovely day, and it's all about you and this other person you've chosen to share your life with. And at the big ceremony at the end, you get up and you make a speech about your wonderful new partner, and people shout, do the teapot dance. And you're just trying to move on with your life. And then maybe, let's say you go into the field of science and you create like a new cure for cancer, and the city holds a ticker tape parade for you, and you're hailed as like the greatest scientific hero and your work is recognized, and the President Obama, re-elected for the third term, someone respects, gets you up on the podium to hand you your awards for being the scientist of the millennium and all your great work and your life's work, and he shakes your hand and he says, do the teapot dance. Do the teapot dance. And you look out and everyone in the crowd is just going, do the teapot dance. And that's how you would feel. It just sort of, it knocks away all the rungs of the ladder you've been climbing, and puts you straight back to square one. No matter what work you've done in between, every time someone says do the teapot dance, it reduces you to a 5-year-old on the carpet at your bigger sister's birthday party doing the little teapot dance. That's kind of how it feels. And if you've ever said, like, get the band back together or do the teapot dance, I ain't mad at you. In fact, quite the opposite. I love you and I'm grateful. But that's just how it feels. That's just how it feels, I'm afraid. Well, great. Boy, can you talk? We've been here for about 6 hours now. Are you going to play a song? You play a song for us? Right. Okay, let's do this. You gonna sing along? Yeah, I'll join in. Yeah, let's do it. Cool. This is from my new record. Let's get comfy here. King of Clubs. This is called The Road to Right. Here we go. Great.
When I was a kid, I took a trip around the world, trying to make a statement, trying to impress some girl, drawing up a map of all the places I love, a list of everywhere I wish I could stay, so maybe I could find my way back someday. The road to ride, the road to ride, the road to ride, the road to ride, to ride. All the time my atlas took a pretty ugly shape. There were certain things I found that I could not escape. Everywhere I went was blank and cold. I became afraid to see the map unfold. The road to ride, the road to ride, the road to ride, the road to ride. And everywhere I ran towards, and everywhere I wandered, I was there, I was there. In every window, every mirror, every drop of rain, found the way straight to hell. My bedroom was of myself. I found a way straight to hell. My bedroom was of myself. Found a way straight to hell. My bedroom was of myself. I found a way straight to hell. My bedroom was of myself.
That was great. Thanks very much, Jamie Lemon.
You're welcome. You're
for
welcome.
joining us at BSM Pop-Up. And we'll see you later.
If you're a dick when you're drunk, you're a dick all the time. If you're a dick when you're drunk, you're a dick all the time. In the inner recesses of your mind. If you're a dick when you're drunk, you're a dick all the fucking time. And I don't wanna be your friend. I don't wanna be your friend. If you're a troll online, you're a troll for real. If you're a troll online, you're a troll for real. You
tree. Forever unkempt. Oh, the muscle memory it must take to stay close to me. I'm a cloud when you come to me. Tell me again, what's the allure of inconsequential love?